What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Authentically Divine. I'm your host, as always, Alyssa Davis. And this week, oh my goodness, I've told you guys, I do a bulk record of the episodes, especially this first season. This is me truly getting into all things nitty-gritty of podcasting. And so I've been bulk recording, and I have not, because I'm in the midst of summer right now, I have not recorded an episode in a couple of weeks. So setting it all up, getting it back to running, because I don't have a professional camera. I'm not doing all the fancy schmancy things yet, but I am in my living room. I am setting things up. It just took me a little bit. I'm drinking like a pumpkin spice latte right now because I have fully kicked into high gear for pumpkin spice. It's September, and I just had a pumpkin spice latte the other day, and literally found myself going back to get another one like a couple days later, and I bought a couple of pumpkin spice latte things like creamer and a latte from Whole Foods. I'm on the pumpkin spice kick. I am not a Starbucks girly. I used to be, but nope. I am wearing, now this is not sponsored, maybe one day, but I'm wearing a Redeemed t-shirt right now, and it's like a Child of God type of clothing company. I'm obsessed. It's cotton. Oh, it's so cozy. But I wear this shirt around and I love it because in the front it says redeemed because my soul's been saved and I've been made brand new. But also on the back it shows when Jesus was crucified and gives a Bible verse, which is really cool. But I owe my life to Jesus. I love having my faith on me. Like I wear the cross like I mentioned in another episode, but I love having t-shirts that just express my love for Jesus. So this is where we're going to start. We're going to kick it off boldly today. Today's episode is going to include, it's just going to mention that everything is spiritual. And if you know me, you know, like I said, I've been recently saved within the last year. I've known God from the past, but I've fully surrendered to God this year, and my life is dedicated to Jesus, to the path that God wants me to walk, and it's brought so much awareness into my life. With that being said, it's going to be an entire episode just for even the non-believers, baby Christians, other types of religions that exist in the world. This is going to be for every single type of person. Whether you're male, female, this is just going to be a topic about the world that we live in and how we cannot deny that everything is spiritual. And maybe these are going to be things that you've never even heard of, or things that I'm going to mention you might have a light bulb flicker on and maybe make some changes in your life. That's always my hope, is to bring revelation as best I can, have God use me as a mouthpiece to speak to you. But, it's always just about keeping it real. So this is not going to be truly a fully faith-based episode. This is going to be just recognizing the things that we have seen in the world and maybe didn't even realize or register that it has a spiritual element to it. And this is going to be kind of exciting because I've done a little bit of research. I've been sitting on doing this episode. It's just been, hectic summer. Summer flies by in a flash. I'm doing everything under the sun. And now it's time to wind down and get back to business. So if you're new, this is Authentically Divine. And I would like to encourage everyone, if you enjoyed these episodes, leave a like, leave a comment. We are on YouTube. I'm saying we. I always say we, but it's God and I. We are on YouTube. We are also on Spotify. I'm going to see what other avenues we can do, but I have a whole Instagram page called Authentically Divine. You can find that below here in front of the plant. If you are new to Authentically Divine, my love and my passion is clean health products, whether it be food or the products that you put on your skin, or if you're drinking minerals, things like that. My whole lifestyle is set around being healthy as best as I can. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy spirit. I'm going to reference a product, and this is what I do weekly. I talk and reference a product that I'm using, that I have in my home, that is something that I have obtained in the reference to health. And so right now I'm using Big Woods Organics Coffee Bean Eye Cream. It's whipped tallow with coffee. Okay, so I'm mentioning I love coffee, and yes, I love the pumpkin spice, but I drink coffee daily. If you have an opinion on that, I'm not sure where I am with it. I kind of understand that caffeine can be bad for you. I sip it slow. Whipped tallow with coffee. So the ingredients, this is an eye cream. I've been using this for a couple weeks now, and I'm 27. My eyes are drying out. Like, I don't have a lot of collagen left in there. I'm not doing the route of Botox or fillers. So I'm trying to find some healthy products and things that can allow my skin to age naturally, but also be moisturized. So we're looking at the coffee bean eye cream. And tallow, if you're unfamiliar, is from a cow. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be, but a cow, it is the fat rendering. It's the fat that is just off of them, and it's become a huge thing in the health community. I just want to read the ingredients here. We are at 100% grass-fed and finished tallow, unrefined cold-pressed jojoba, which is jojoba oil, if you've ever heard of it. It is the oil that is most similar to your skin's own oil. So most products that you'll find in the health community or the health and wellness community include jojoba oil, and it's just because of the fact that it mimics your own skin's oil. It's really super hydrating. So then we also have coffee beans, rose hip oil. I don't know if you've heard of that, but that's moisturizing as well. And Topaz white bark and vanilla beans. So I think those two elements, the last two, are just for, because tallow is kind of an offensive smell. If you've never smelled tallow before, I was tweaked out by it when I first bought tallow, and I did not like it. It was really repulsive to me, but over time, I've enjoyed it, and I've actually bought another product. So whipped tallow, it's really good. If you want to follow them, they are at bigwoods_farm. They always sell their products on a release because they sell out, because they are highly sought after. Little life update. I have a gala that I am volunteering for this upcoming weekend. I bought this really cute dress, and I'm really excited to get super dressed up and just step out into the world. And obviously we're in September, like I mentioned, so football season's back up. Everyone's getting together to watch the games. And it's just nice to see my friends when we've been really busy over the summer. So getting everyone together in a group all at once is really nice, and I'm excited for that. But let's dive in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just do some basic level things that you and I, the average person, your mom, your grandma, your grandpa, these things that they come across in the world, whether it's being said or being shown. So first I'm going to start off at the very basic level to describe something that is spiritual in the realm of our lives. So we are currently going to be starting at the basic level of sayings like thank God, or hell no, or oh my God, or to hell with that. He or she, they can go to hell. I'm sure you've heard people say that. She was being the devil, he was being the devil, he was being a demon. I've heard people reference their animals being possessed by the devil, possessed by a demon. Maybe you haven't, but people have referenced that in my life. I've heard that. Another one, which people say all the time, for heaven's sakes. I mean, I just want to say when I'm saying these are regular comments and sayings that the general public have. They say these things and they don't even know that these are spiritual sayings. These are referencing the spiritual realm. Evil versus good. This, when you say for the love of God, and you don't believe in God, why are you saying it? Because somewhere inside, somewhere unconsciously, we as humans know that God exists, that there is a spiritual realm, that there is good and bad. But I mean, if we didn't, why would we say to hell with them? They can go to hell. And I don't know, maybe these things you've heard all your life. And maybe like for me, when I started to realize that that type of verbiage held spiritual weight, it completely changed my life. And I don't know if that's you. Maybe you're hearing this for the first time, but maybe just listen, tune in. I'm going to suggest when you hear these things, see who's saying them. What is the context? And question it. Hear it and be like, whoa, I totally didn't understand that was spiritual. Like when people say, goodness gracious, having grace and, graciousness, that's associated to the Bible. Heavens to Betsy, I don't know if anyone has ever heard that one, but when I was looking this up, I forgot, I've heard that before, but it's kind of like something that a lot of mature or elderly people, they say, heavens to Betsy. I thought that was funny. I literally laughed. But when people say for heaven's sake, it's for heaven's sake, you mean that God exists? When they say that, for heaven's sake, it means you're talking about heaven, some sort of element there, and there's just that missing piece. People do say these things. Heaven and hell, obviously, are spiritual. God help us. If you're going through a stressful situation, I've heard people say, God help us. That is a prayer. I've heard people say Jesus' name in the Jesus Christ when they're getting frustrated. Instead of saying it as a prayer, they're saying it with anger. And I'm sure you know someone, if you are not that person that's doing it yourself. I'm sure I used to say that at one point in my life, but now I definitely do not. But these are the things that you may hear among people of the world. People that are around you, they may be saying these things, and maybe you didn't recognize that was spiritual, a recognition of the spiritual realm that exists around us. Because we as humans, everything truly is spiritual. So I'm going to go further into it. If you are at this level, I want to emphasize that it's going to become more complex as I'm going along. Another aspect, when people say, oh my God, and things like that, but there was one that you reap what you sow. I had said that yesterday when I was with Trevor, and I was like, wait, that is literally a reference to the Bible. They talk about what you sow, and talking about sower's seed and men going to sow, and not S-E-W, S-O-W. If you've ever heard that, it's what you do with your life is what your outcome is. They talk about that in the Bible all the time, about sowing, S-O-W-I-N-G, S-O-W for sow, not sow you're knitting, S-O-W, it's an actionable word. It's what you do is what you produce, what you are planting is what bears fruit. If you didn't understand, that makes sense. But I said that the other day, and I was like, that really is something from the Bible, and it was something that I didn't even recognize was a reference to the spiritual realm, what is included in the Bible. The references that I'm pointing out, not all are going to be in the Bible, where I said what you reap is what you sow, but just those general sayings oh my God, and Jesus Christ, and you can go to hell, he can go to hell. Those are acknowledging through your words, even if you don't know the depth of what you are saying, but that is acknowledging that the spiritual realm exists. This is going to be the basic shock level. That one is something that maybe you didn't recognize. So we'll start with the next aspect here. What about alcohol? Alcohol is referenced as a spirit. So spirits, you see wine and liquors and, and spirits, or just alcohol described as a spirit. Spirit is part of the spiritual realm. It's recognition of that aspect. So aside from the 3D world that you and I are living in, when you are referencing something to as a spirit, that's the spirit realm that we are referencing. And maybe that wasn't truly recognized before, but alcohol is a spirit. That's why a lot of people will say, I've never done anything like that unless I was on alcohol, or I was feeling so gutsy, I was drunk. I finally got the guts to speak to this girl I saw because I was drunk, or I did that last night. I was definitely so drunk. Like, I was drunk, I don't remember. I could even talk about a name, liquid death. Maybe you've not heard of that, but that's a water. Liquid death. There's power in names. Like, there is the dark and the light. So when you are referencing alcohol being a spirit, that's more on the negative, the darker side. Labeling anything like liquid death, you're drinking death, like that would be something questionable to me, especially as I'm talking about sayings and words. Words have power, life or death in the tongue, like I had spoken about in my other episode, the power of the tongue. And therefore, if death is being spoken into something you're drinking, or a spirit is being spoken into something you're drinking, there's something there that's being recognized in the spiritual realm. Another one, marijuana. This is going to be funny because people have always thought about this and laughed. If you don't know what I'm about to say, you're going to laugh. The devil's lettuce. Why is marijuana referenced as the devil's lettuce? It could have been called God's lettuce. It could have been called something else, but even marijuana is being referenced as the devil's lettuce. Yeah, alcohol being a spirit, marijuana being the devil's lettuce. These words and these sayings that we go in the day-to-day regarding our lives and our choices and the things that we are saying, they do have relevancy to the spiritual realm. So it's not that far off. It really isn't that far off. It's like, it's the missing piece to the understanding of how everything operates. Good or bad, evil versus good. If you've heard of like the alpha, you've heard of beta. Like, people will talk about, you're the alpha, or he's so beta. Well, the Bible specifically says in Revelation 22, I am the Alpha, the Omega, the first and the last. So origination is God with the word Alpha. If you've ever heard the saying, the blind leading the blind, that's also referenced in the Bible. And the Bible is really old, in case you were wondering, and that's the origination from all these sayings. The blind leading the blind is in Matthew chapter 15, verse 13 through 14. Every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be pulled up by the roots. Leave them, they are blind guides. If the blind lead the blind, both will fall into the pit. So, if the blind is leading the blind, then they're going to fall into hell. That's truly what it's saying. But the blind leading the blind, it's like, we've all heard that. I mean, the 3 blind mice, the blind leading the blind, it's like, it's a play on that. A lot of the things that you're going to hear that I'm saying are like really just like plays on the spiritual realm, good versus evil. Songs are a huge other portion. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper. Lyrics and songs have a lot of reference to good versus evil. Specifically, a lot of the music that our generation is listening to has a lot of reference to demonic spirits, to death in like not life, and a lot of the devil is included into that. People outright are saying that they worship the devil, that they are doing these things, and it's something that I've been recognizing more and more and more as time has gone on, that my awareness is fully there. I mean, we've heard countless songs, like I'll go into reference here. So Drake songs, I'm not going to say anything against Drake. For legal purposes, I'm just going to reference his lyrics and leave them as the detail, because this is fact. He can't argue the fact that these say, I'm the sixth God, I'm the Holy One. If you claim to be a god, you are referencing that there is a spiritual realm. But you're on the wrong side of it if you're going to reference yourself as a god. There's only one God. So referencing I'm the sixth God, I'm the Holy One, is basically spitting in God's face. So although his listeners may not know that, I'm here to tell you that that's what he's saying. And that is reference to the spiritual realm. And that is another aspect of it. Another song that he has, it's I'm far from a prophet, but I got the vision. So I kind of want to diagnose this, go into the details. I'm far from a prophet. So he's recognizing that in the Bible, there's references to prophets. If you're not familiar, if you're hearing the word prophet for the first time, maybe, prophet is just someone that has the understanding from God for the actions that are going to be taken in the future, or future events, or, it could be that he's a prophet is prophesying or has an understanding from God and is speaking it verbally and telling people that it's about their life or it's about somebody else's life. Like, people were prophesying that Jesus was coming. Early in the Old Testament of the Bible, early in life, people that were prophets knew that the Messiah was coming. So Drake saying, I'm far from a prophet, he's recognizing, or at least speaking to the point that prophets exist. He's saying he's not one, though. But he says he's got the vision. If you have a vision and it's not from God, and he's not a prophet, he's saying, I'm not a prophet, outright. I'm not on that side of the spiritual realm. I'm not on God's side. I've got a vision. He's getting that from a psychic medium, a witch, something satanic, because it's only good or evil. You don't have the choice to be dipping your toes in both sides. It's either you've dipped one foot in good or one foot in evil. You can't have both. So he's saying straight up, he's not with God, in case anyone needed clarification. I know that these are lyrics. I'm just going to say that these are the lyrics that rappers and singers are saying that are providing an element of understanding that the spiritual realm exists. And maybe you're laughing at me because I sound like silly for saying these things, but at the same time, it's outright in front of us, and a lot of people are not questioning these things. It's just like, oh, he says that, I'm going to sing along. It's like, for me now, being a follower of Christ, I hear these things, I stop. Like, I have this barrier between hearing it and processing it and repeating it. I hear it, I process it, and then I don't repeat it. Jesus is my barrier. I don't allow these things to infiltrate my mind anymore. So hearing that and seeing it and knowing that these are the songwriters that everyone's listening to, it's like we have things on repeat, things that are normalized, sayings like thank God, oh my God, those things are on repeat in our mind, and people are not questioning it. People are just repeating it. So my intention is to say it to you and have you click to have a barrier, to not repeat what is being said, and just have a new revelation on it. This is something that clicked with me in my journey, and everything that I say is because of my journey and my awareness. Comment below. Tell me how you feel about this. I'm intrigued and I love the feedback, but I'm going to keep going. We have future. Again, these are just facts because they are lyrics that he has put out into the world. So I want to talk devil on my soul. Danced with the devil so long she pulling me closer. Been sleeping with demons and how they get here? Let's unpack that one. Devil on his soul. I mean, if he doesn't believe in the spiritual realm and doesn't know that the spiritual realm is real, why is he saying it? Why is he bringing mention to it? Rappers can sing about gangbanging, having sex, drugs, alcohol, and have no mention of the spiritual realm, but he's straight up saying devil on my soul. When I started to recognize hearing this, I was like, whoa, yeah, they understand. If you don't think the artists that are involved in the world do not understand that the spiritual realm exists, these should help to enlighten that. Been sleeping with demons and how they get here. This is a reference actually because the Bible says that if you are to have sex with someone that you are not married with, it is wrong. And it is a sin. That is where he's saying he's been sleeping with demons and he doesn't know how they got here. It's because he's sleeping with demons. He's sleeping with women. I will do a whole episode about that at one point in time. It's going to be a heavy topic and I want to prepare for it. But I do believe that having an understanding that the Bible specifies to not have sex unless you are married is for reasons like this, where Future's saying he's been sleeping with demons. He doesn't even know how they got here. He does know because he's educated on the spiritual realm with Devil on My Soul. He knows. And I did want to mention the devil knows scripture. The devil knows the Bible. The devil knows God. The devil tempted Jesus. The devil tempts everyone. Another artist, and this is just, I guess I'm only doing male rap artists, but it is what it is. It's just to bring awareness, because I used to listen to this type of music, and I don't any longer. If you were asking, I don't have these types of music in my playlist. So Juice WRLD, this is just Juice WRLD referencing the spiritual realm in his lyrics. I'm not saying anything against any of these artists. I just am going to say that they do reference the spiritual realm, and that's the purpose of this episode. So he mentions devil standing here trying to make a deal, but there are no deals. That was one song. Devil hit my phone. He wanted to talk, but I'm not really up for conversation. Just another artist bringing reference to the devil. The devil sending temptation. The devil, that's literally what Future was saying. Sleeping with demons. How did they get here? That's temptation. Juice WRLD talking about the devil's trying to talk to him, trying to tempt him, essentially, and he's not really in the mood to talk. He's not in the mood to be tempted. How are you guys feeling about that? Have you ever heard this before? Have you heard these lyrics and just thought, I'm going to sing along, or didn't even think about it? If you did, that's okay. Believe me, I used to sit and play this type of music when I would go to the gym, and I would be angry working out. And then I'd come home and be in a miserable mood, and I think the realization of the things that we hear, the things that we repeat, that is something that I just want to bring awareness to. The better we understand that the world is spiritual, we can then just start to make better choices that feed life into our own. I listen to gospel music now. If I do listen to like Kid Leroy or something like that, I don't listen to the swearing. I truly have changed everything about my music interests down to even like if they're talking about different lyrics and songs of like sinning or hooking up, I don't listen to that anymore. It's just, I don't need to hear it. It's not speaking life into mine, and it's just not enforcing my Christianity. And people could have judgment on that for, you can just listen to whatever. Well, here I am. I'm telling you that these rap artists are speaking about the devil. And you do have the choice, but maybe you don't understand that you have the choice. You can find enjoyment in other things. It's just a new muscle that you have to work. It's a new understanding. And maybe you're not even a Christian. Maybe you're just hearing this and you're like, oh, I'm going to go listen to that song right now. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not judging you, but my aim is to just bring love to your life that you may have not heard, which is including Jesus into the conversation. If you are saying to yourself, like, Alyssa, the Authentically Divine podcast, you're talking about music, you're talking about these things, like, you've lost me on the spiritual realm stuff. Well, take it a step further. We are dipping our toes in a little bit further here. Next thing I want to talk about is like movies. Movies always reference dark versus light, evil versus good. For example, movies are a prime example of entertainment showing you that these things do exist. So I just want to take a step back and just recap. For the spiritual realm, things that are mentioned, the first one that I talked about was sayings. Things that the general public or people around you may say that you hear, or even you say yourself. Just sayings. 2 was music and lyrics. Things, I only gave 3 examples, but I'm sure you can come up with others. The third one is going to be the references of movies and how movies talk about good versus evil, dark versus light, bad versus good. It's because the producers know that it's good versus evil. Like, otherwise, where do you think these ideas come from? I mean, if it wasn't true, why would every superhero movie be good versus bad? I mean, even for reference, Batman, the Batman series, Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man, actually, now that we're talking about Spider-Man had like the dark replicant. I was saying like reptile, but the dark replica of him be who his enemy was. It was like his dark side, the devil. It was good versus evil. Gave the example of Spider-Man, that one, I don't even know which one it was, but like the green gremlin like type thing that was in a black dark suit of Spider-Man, and he was his enemy. He was Spider-Man's enemy, and he was just trying to take over him. He was actually trying to take over Spider-Man's soul. Come on, people. That is the spiritual realm in full view for us to be entertained with. It's right there. And, I grew up watching Spider-Man, and that used to scare me. That used to scare me. I'm laughing because, I don't watch that stuff anymore, but literally, Spider-Man series. We could even talk about, if you want to go on the Disney princess side, Cinderella. Cinderella is about good versus evil. Cinderella being the abandoned daughter that had the two stepsisters, the evil two stepsisters, and then the evil stepmom that were trying to hold her at bay from finding the love of her life. The love of her life. Evil was trying to intervene with Cinderella finding the love of her life. And guess what? She ended up, nothing could stop her because evil does not win. Goodness always wins. I mean, literally, if we are thinking about stuff like that, it's just Disney princesses, they reference it. I know it sounds goofy, but it does. Another thing, too, came to mind when I was, talking about, a TV show, Phineas and Ferb, that evil Doofenshmirtz. I think they even referenced him as being evil. But against Phineas and Ferb, they would have these, and it was, Phineas and Ferb were children versus the evil old Doofenshmirtz. And that, my friends, my Christian friends will understand. But if you don't, the devil attacks children too. He goes after the purity of children. So, that whole the whole thing of Phineas and Ferb is about them having all these genius ideas and creating and being, doing all these fun things and just being children. And Doofenshmirtz, Dr. Evil Doofenshmirtz, is trying to stop them from having that. I think that's crazy. It's all right in front of us. But we don't recognize as a society that does have reference to a spiritual realm. I'm not even talking about, they're not outright saying that's God and that's the devil. But when you have an in-depth, understanding and have wisdom towards that understanding, it's the devil versus God. It's the bright light versus the dark light. And that was something that, clicked. So I hope that it does for you as well. But I'm sure you could come up with a million other movies that exemplify this type of behavior. Any movie, this, the basis of the movie, even war movies, even war itself is good versus evil. But the war movies, it's they're over fighting the enemy and they come back home and they save the town. It's but yeah, I think the really crazy one that just I talked about was Cinderella, truly, because it was the purity of love, and Phineas and Ferb, the purity of being a child, and the devil or the darkness or the evil trying to stop you from having that love, having that purity. It's all a part of who the devil is, and that we can talk about in another time, but that recognition that it's good versus evil is something I'm going to keep emphasizing, because it is overall being shown every day of our lives without a true comprehension of it. And up until 26 years of my life, 25 years of my life, I didn't really recognize it either. So I don't have judgment towards you if you're even against hearing this right now. I bet if somebody tried to tell me this years ago, I would have been I don't think so. I think you're a little crazy. But why would this be the main topic if I was crazy? Why would this be a common theme? Why is this the only theme if I was crazy? Just food for thought, I guess. But, okay, so if I have lost you now completely, or if you're tuning in, let's say, If you're tuning in, tune in closer. Turn those speakers up. We're going to talk about the next portion of good versus evil, the spiritual realm being referenced in the real life that we may not know. How about anxiety, fear, depression, worry? Those in other countries, which is really cool. I'm going to go into like a little bit of like a little education. Other countries describe having depression, having anxiety, having worry, having happiness. They speak on it in a way. It is not I have depression, it's I am of depression. Like it's like you are carrying on that. I have anger, not I am angry. There's a separation in the English language versus other countries in their language, but I did find that interesting recently that a lot of us Americans will say straight up, like if you have anxiety that day, you will say I am anxious, like a claim of it. Whereas other countries will say I am of anxiety today. And that's how it's like translated, and that's how they speak of it. It's like an emotion is an added thing to them themselves. It is not that they are operating within that aspect. So I do want to talk about when you are saying that you have anxiety, fear, depression, those are technically like a spirit. When you have anxiety, it's not you in the basis. Like you are of pure love. When you were made and created by God, in the image of God, you didn't have that. You were told in the Bible to not have that. So, for example, like because it's deterring you from having a strong, faithful connection with God. When you have anxiety, when you have fear, when you have depression, when you say you have these things, it's a claim of them and it's sitting on your spirit. When we're talking about anxiety, Philippians chapter 4, verses 6, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." It's just referencing like the Bible is saying, and what God wants you to be is just normal. No anxious, and yeah, this is going to be, you're probably going to comment or think like I'm talking about like I can't just turn it off. I know that. I'm not saying that. I am simply saying that we're recognizing in the spiritual realm when people are saying these things that they have depression, have that, have this, have that, you're claiming it, and it is a part of the spiritual realm. It's more so an attack on your spirit, attack on the way that you were made of pure love. Because with pure love, you don't exhibit those things. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to say that your anxiety is not real. It is absolutely real. And I just want to make sure I'm emphasizing that because I've dealt with it myself. I have just more so dealt with anxiety in my life. But I don't want you to think that by me saying that you are not allowed to have that. I just want to say that God didn't create you to have that. It is not anything that God gave you. In the Bible, if you were ever anxious, worried, fearful, here's these to read for your truth. Anxiety, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God. God, I'm anxious today. God, I need your help. I'm struggling. Perfect example to do. Worry. They talk about worry in the Bible. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life. Matthew chapter 6, verses 27. Can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And it's just to make sure and emphasize that, that anxiety, that worry, that fear, those types of things are not you. It isn't you. It's living in your mind, but it isn't your pure love the way that God made you. Those things are tough. So I'm just saying that is an emphasis on the spiritual realm because it's an attack of the mind. Those things cripple people's lives. It is very real. But also that is not God. And my recognition for you is to just emphasize to the point that good versus evil can include and does include those things. So it's not just the silly stuff or the outright things. Like, oh my God, it's not like an outright thing like that. It's not the outright a song lyric saying about the devil. These are more complex then, and that's why I've been doing it in little dips of the toes in each little portion, because issues are more complex. These are debilitating to people's lives. And this is actually, when you are a Christian, you understand and see they are not their anxiety of unworthiness. And, if you are someone dealing with that, my true and best encouragement is to read the Bible, to understand that you are the child of the light. You are God's child. He created you with so much love, and that spirit and that feeling of anxiety, depression, fear, worry, unworthiness, unloving feeling that you don't belong. None of that is you at the core. None of that is God. None of that. It's all an attack on your mind, an attack on your spirit. And I pray for you because I love you. It's with love and tenderness that I love and I care for you, because God has given me the capacity to love and care for you. And that's why I can say it. So if you are hearing that and you're my friend, that's what I want you to understand. It isn't you. It's not coming from God. It's not coming from you. You are of pure joy and love, and I can now say that because I've experienced it myself. I no longer deal with those things. I've seen people in my life get saved by Jesus and no longer deal with those things. I've watched Girls Gone Bible talk about how they had dealt with these things of anxiety, depression, fear, codependency, dependency on alcohol, dependency on drugs, dependency on men. Myself, I had that. Dependency, not knowing who I am. All of that being taken away and just living in peace and joy and understanding that I'm a child of God. And you too are a child of God. You just may not know it yet. So that's always the encouragement here, is although these messages are my journey, it's the journey that God laid out for me to speak on. So I hope you find a nugget of truth, a nugget of just like love or joy from listening to this. And, as time goes on, I'm going to be switching around some topics, doing different things. I will be integrating some guests. This is just the beginning. This is setting the foundation for what's to come, and I'm really excited. And I really do love you. I love that you decided to join in today. If you decided to stay for the entirety of the episode, I so appreciate you. If you did like this episode, I encourage you to follow and subscribe on YouTube, or subscribe on, like and follow the podcast on Spotify. Follow the Instagram page. Send me a message, send me a like, send me a comment, whatever you prefer. But I do want to just say thank you for tuning in. Anyone that listens to this I just appreciate it. And this is a passion project for me. Like I said, I'm working a full-time job. This is just something I enjoy. This is something that I've been called to do. So I appreciate all of your time. I appreciate all of you listening in, tuning in. If you're watching, hey, I just want to say I love you and thank you so much for everything. Thank you for being a listener of Authentically Divine, and I hope everyone has a great and blessed week. Thank you.